what is an air-assisted airless? Generally in the food, cat.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Let me just video this.
Sure.
I got you.
Because someone else is going to ask me that exact same question. I know exactly what the answer is going to be.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Okay.
So this is a air-assisted airless electrostatic. So essentially in the furniture industry, air-assisted airless is a way to get some production and still be fine finish and very little overspray. And then we add static electricity, so on the metal side, then we have, it's even more efficient that it grabs that paint and pulls it back. So electrostatic is good, yes, for efficiency, but also for if you're painting intricate. Let's say that skid was metal, you have to get inside all these, weird angles in that. Electrostatic is the most efficient way of doing that because you're putting out the paint in a general given area, letting the charge grab it. So it's going to a grounded surface.
Okay.
So if that's grounded, that's plastic, so it
Right.
wouldn't grab on that. But it's not magic. It's not like, oh, okay, well, this is metal and this is not metal. I can just spray that and not get anything on the drywall. It's still, you're pointing it at that, it's going on it. You still have wood, metal, we would still have to mask off that wood,
Okay.
even though it's getting attracted to the metal.
Okay.
So the idea is send it out, but you're not getting that mist, that bellowing cloud that's going off on there. You're limited on how far you have to mask off or prep,
And how far do you need to mask off or prep?
Well, it depends on what your pressures are, depending on what your coatings are. So generally, Hawk told me that you're looking to do like coolers in that. We're doing fine finish. We're not trying to get this heavy build on a rusty, I-beam type of thing.
Okay.
So first off, we're reducing down into finished atomized coat. So by doing that too, we're using a fine grind industrial coating. We can put a thin mill coating on there at low pressure. A lot of times they'll put two coats, you might put either a tack coat and then a wet coat. It depends on how much you got in the job. Are you looking to make it just look pretty when you leave, or pretty and then extra and durable? So what gives you durability is paint millage, right? So that depends on what you have into. So how does it work? This is a mobile compressor, that's all this is. That compressor is driving an airless pump in the back here. That's an air motor instead of, say, a 440 that uses an electric motor. Okay. Still a piston pump. It's just that this air motor is driving that piston. Now, when you get into industrial, they'll use air motors because fire marshals don't let you use electric motors in a spray boot type of thing. So, but we're splitting the air. The air is not only driving the pump, it's giving us our assisted air to the gun too.
Okay.
We use very little air. I'm going to turn this off, the power truck off. We use very little air. It's just enough to assist it 10 pounds maybe, and then we're cutting it back down here. And we're
Is that part of it?
No, that is not. This is everything that we see here. We're plugged in. We got two plugs.
Okay.
One is the plug to the compressor. The other is the plug to the power plant. You have to have grounded outlets. If you're not plugged into a grounded outlet, that grounding stud is not grounded. Now, what you're doing on refrigeration things, those are mounted onto the ground. Those things are grounded. You really don't have to hook a wire to it. but for safety's sake. So why they want all these demos is we're going to drive one safety thing into your. We're running low voltage electrostatic, but it can give a spark. If we're spraying a flammable item, you get a spark, you can get an explosion, right? So that's why really we should only use plastic buckets. We should take the bail hook off them. So if you forget to turn off your charge, you know, you're spraying into, let's just say we got a 5-gallon metal bucket, just sitting there, not grounded. We're spraying, we forget to turn off, you know, the old everything doing wrong. We forget to turn off our charge. It's the fumes, and then we get a spark off the edge of the bucket, and you can get an explosion. So it's kind of the same thing with smoking when you're filling your gas tank in your car. The odds of it actually happen are very, very small, but it could, and if it does, it's bad. So, so metal buckets should take the bucket hooks off. You should always turn off your power pack when you go to clean up and set up.
Or save my wallpaper paste buckets.
There you go. I mean,
Yeah.
they got some blue buckets back here. Those work pretty
We
good
have
too.
those epoxy mixing buckets.
I like
Mixing
these
buckets.
because these are smaller that we're sucking out of, so we don't have to then tip it on the side. My guess is you're doing smaller volume amount of paint is what you're spraying.
Possibly.
Uh,
I'll be doing an entire grocery store as soon as I learn how to do this.
Okay. So,
You know, but otherwise it's a couple cases here, a couple cases there. You know,
well, this isn't meant for walls and stuff. You're not looking to do walls.
I got like 7 or 8 others for it.
Yeah. Okay. So, how does it work? The compressor, we go ahead, we turn on. There's our power switch to the compressor. Okay, it's just a toggle. We turn that on. It's already pressurized, so you don't hear it run. But it is a quiet compressor. So now it has air that comes down here and goes to this regulator here. You see it's pump. That's our pump pressure. So this is a 14-to-1 pump. At 100 psi in, you'll have 1400 psi out. We're not spraying anywhere near those pressures. We're probably going to be somewhere in the 800,000 psi where we want to be. If you're going any higher than 1200 psi, you need to thin the coating more. You know, it's meant for fine finish. It's not meant to spray architectural on walls.
It's not a volume.
And then this is our air to the gun. So that's our assisting air. I have them both turned on, and then we're regulating here. You see I'm very low on my assisting air. Well, I don't know what my glasses are.
They're
so
like
I
about
can't
15
tell.
to 20 on both.
Yeah, that's about it. So this is the electrostatic gun, this is the power pack. So we turn on, there's a switch on the bottom here to turn on your power pack. You can also turn it off there. But so it's turned on when we're omitting charge. I got turned off on the gun too. And I'll tell you why they do that. When you're omitting charge, that light comes on. So you turn off the air. So we don't get confused between air and charge.
Okay.
So if you feel on your leg, it'll feel like air. If you feel that,
Cool. I feel charged
so
too.
that's a static charge. That's what we're trying to do. Put that static charge in a given area, send it out
You're
slowly,
grounded.
and then yeah. Well, I play jokes that you know, you take a metal 5-gallon lid and then you charge it up. So can you pick that up for me? And then
Cool.
you know, it's like walking on a wool carpet. Only in your clean fun.
It's not fully
So the gun comes with a round tip assembly, and it comes with a flat tip assembly. So you're getting both. This is the flat air cap. This is the flat there. So what you're probably going to use mainly, even doing panels like this, is the round assembly. So So generally, you'll do it in an area like this, you know, that where you're doing. See, that's good charge. But if, let's just say I'm doing garbage can dumpsters, now you could put the flat tip assembly. You're doing big flat thing, and it gives you production. If you were doing structural steel, flat tip assembly might make more sense. Doing a lot of these garage doors on the thing, flat tip might make more sense. But a round is just essentially a cloud that we're putting out there, letting it drop. And so for coolers, it's about this big, right? You know, so I would probably go with just the round. They come with a couple different tips. What do I have in here? I think I put maybe production. I think if you're looking for efficiency as small as possible, that's the 11. But what happens is a lot of coatings at one. That's actually 7 pounds at 8 pounds. It doesn't take much to clog this tip. They do work like reversible. This is your wrench here. And so I can open it up. I'm going to turn off my power pack. But I can open up my tip and then just blow out. And then yeah, I don't have the charge on, but I don't have the pump on either. I do. Turn the air on so I don't make a mess.
So how's Parker doing today?
Today he's doing way better than yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday I had 7 HVAC guys here looking at my AC because it has been leaking for the 5th time, and they put like a 20-gallon brick tray up there just as an emergency, and they get up there and this thing is overflowing. So they're like, and then they see all this other shit, so they're calling their bosses. They had 7 people here basically all just motherfucking their own company. Who the fuck did this? I'm like, you guys.
You?
He's like, it wasn't me. I'm like, I'm not saying it was you. I'm just saying it was your company.
That's what we're looking for to start. So this is probably the critical thing where guys say, there's a few variables and steps that you're going to do. First, we want to make sure we're plugged into a grounded outlet. I'm sure that I didn't test it, but I'm sure this in the Sherwin-Williams is grounded. But I would recommend, because you're going to go in different places, do I have one here? There's a ground fault limiter indicator you can get from any hardware store. We don't sell it.
Yeah.
You plug it in and it'll have 3 lights and it'll tell you if that is correctly grounded and it's plugged in. That's what you want to test. It's more when you're plugging into extension cords. You'd be surprised how many of those third grounded wires is cut off. So
Yeah.
if we're not grounded, then whatever we're hooking that up to, those would not be grounded.
Okay.
But for safety's sake, even on a regular 440, you should plug into a grounded outlet.
Right.
It's just more, when guys say, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to be wrapping, you know. One of the things is that when you feel the charge, that's where I was saying that, you know, it's where on the side of your leg, you feel the static charge. So,
If you feel the static charge, then it's grounded?
well, you know that it's putting out charge.
Oh,
number
okay.
one. You know it's grounded if you put that ground, fault indicator
Okay.
in there, and then we know the unit's grounded, so then our wire or whatever we're going to is grounded.
Okay.
Um,
How do you thin the material?
okay, so when we thin it, first off, materials that we're going to use, we want non-conductive solvents. So this has a ground fault limiter for the same reason that I was saying, is it comes next to a grounded object, it kills the charge. So if that metal bucket was grounded and we had the charge on and we forgot, as we come closer, it would kill the charge against the grounded metal bucket and not get a spark. Well, the same thing on coatings, but if we're spraying a conductive coating, let's just say lacquers, you're not going to get any rep because it's killing the charge off the conductive coating. So we need non-conductive coatings. Hawk is going to print you a solvent chart, but you'll probably find certain coatings. This is what you use, and then you're not using a different coating every single job. We have SureChem. SureChem is a quick dry industrial coating. With electrostatic, that is extra quick dry, and what we get because we're doing it at such low pressures, it creates a solvent entrapment where you'll spray and you get tiny little bubbles through there. So we want to slow it down a little bit. I normally recommend high flash naphtha, even though it's oxymoron. It is a slower evaporating solvent, but has more cutting power than mineral spirits.
Yeah.
Mineral spirits doesn't have much cutting power, and it's oily and it's slow evaporating. Where normal coatings, say if it was a industrial enamel, a fine grind, because you don't want to use the cheap stuff, those will clog the tips right away. You need to speed that up, and so you might use a Xylol or a Tylol to speed the drying. Because otherwise, you'll put it on, it'll look great, you'll walk away, and 10 minutes later, because it just starts all sagging on.
Okay.
So that's why when you're doing finish on
How fast does that dry?
Oh, this will dry to the touch. What would you say, Hawk? 15 minutes to the touch on this?
SureChem?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
closer to 30.
Maybe 30.
They have a fast dry version that's like 15, 20, but they're both pretty
But
quick.
there's an accelerator and an activator you can put it
Okay.
into, so, yeah.
So I doubt we're gonna go that to speed it up, but.
Is there a bonding primer that you put on first, or?
Hawk, is there a bonding primer that if we're going on to, say, a refrigerator's already painted?
Wash primer is one way to go. There's a solid wash primer.
I
But I
would, if it was
I wouldn't
me,
necessarily do it. I wouldn't do it. Not with this part.
I'd use either a solvent, primer, where you wipe it down and it gives you a little bit of grit, or lightly sand it. Now you got to tack. Dust is your number one enemy when we're doing fine finish.
Yeah.
So then we would, clear it off, tack cloth, and then come on it. But as long as you have an adhesion for that to bite on a clean surface, the other thing is some of these coolers where they're like, nobody redoes locker or filing cabinets anymore, but it used to be their hands were on it so much it was embedded into the paint, the grease.
Yeah.
So you have to clean it. Xylol is a great cleaning solvent, turning the rag. You can't just wipe it around, but you want to clean it first and then get some abrasion on there with light sanding or spray.
Okay. And if you use Xylol, it kind of eats into it just a hair.
Not really.
No?
The liquid sand will.
Liquid sand,
It's,
okay.
do you sell much of that?
Not anymore.
Yeah, it's like the guys aren't using solvent anymore too, So it has become much more specialized. All right, so you don't necessarily need to prime on something that's in good shape. It's one thing if it was rusted. And,
Yeah,
you
I'm just gonna say if you're dealing with a
Open
rust
it
issue or something like that, or if there's, I don't know, some sort of a silicone or something like that where you need to make sure that's okay.
Then you hand prime that probably, like say with some
Spot priming areas.
spot prime it with like a weenie roller or a brush.
Yeah. Maybe a light abrasion or something
It's so
like that.
little
just to
paint
profile
wide,
it.
you can just, let's just say the edges were chipped and a little bit of rust. You almost could come out with the aerosol and hit those prime and then,
Right.
do that. But what most guys will do is they'll put a light tack coat on first. So we're doing fine finish. The demo is really on the equipment, but I can tell you technique is what guys will do. So a tack coat is just a light coat where it sees through, just where it's tacky to your fingers, but doesn't come off on your fingers. And you'll do, you know, maybe 12 feet of it, and then you come back, and then you put a good wet coat, and that tack coat holds up the wet coat. Where if you just put a wet coat, it goes on and then it sags out.
Yeah.
So, you know, generally they'll put a tack coat first, and then a good wet coat. And if you're gonna put another coat on it, then when that's dry to the touch, you'll put another wet coat on there. But, all right, so we have the round tip assembly in there. This is a round air tap that you can shape the cone that we're putting on this air tap. But I recommend it also when you're storing the gun, unscrew it like that, it protects the needle. So this needle out here, that is putting the charge out there. Where big thing is the guys beat this thing up and you bend that, it's brittle, and you, not once or twice, but you go back and forth, that will break off. Will it still be putting out charge? Yes, it will. But now maybe the charge is over here, and your paint's over here. You know what I mean? So then guys are wondering why they're not getting, you know, their efficiency.
Okay.
So it also keeps you from getting stabbed by that needle when you're running around. So use that as kind of a
Preventive.
yeah. All right. So that's round. Let's go ahead and show you the inside, the tip. This is a wrench. This is key. You lose this, you're out of business with the round tip. We'll take the tip off. So there's 5 little holes in there, and it's recessed in a channel. Yeah. It's recessed in a channel. So how it analyzes, and this is really the secret of the whole thing, because if we're blasting it out there, the charge doesn't have a chance to work anyhow. But we want to atomize it in small particles at low pressure. So it comes through those 5 holes, and then it goes into the channel, and it lines up. There's a Mercedes pattern on the inside of that tip. So it lines up on the Mercedes pattern, comes down those lines, smashes against each other, and then goes out that center hole. And that's why it's efficient. So when we get a clog, and this is why, you know, you can't use cheap paint.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, press the wrong button.
When we get a clog and we open up the tip to just clear that clog, all it's doing is pulling that Mercedes pattern away from the channel, so it goes right out those 5 holes and through the one big hole in the center. And then you're getting essentially that. Okay? So, you know, law and clock, whatnot. You wouldn't do it before. All right. So, do you want to put paint in there, or do you want me to show you on River Up to you?
Sure, you go try paint.
Okay. So, we talked about that. We talked about this. Let's go. We talked about what type of paint. You have an opener in that.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
Sure.
Any material down
How
10%, 20%, kind of like an HPLP sprayer type of thing, or?
Yeah, it's kind of like HPLP. But I don't know. Fine finish. I tell guys that are spraying industrially, I say you thin it down the same as you would spraying your shop, whether HPLP gun, conventional gun, pressure pot, same, you know, you don't have to do it more than you would normally.
So basically about 10-15%.
Yeah. Depends on the coating. Some coatings are meant spray only, and you might do those.
So then they're already
straight,
thin.
You know? Yeah. You're paying for thinner.
Yeah.
But this coating can be brushed rolled. Yeah, this is having a hard time reducing it. It's sitting on the top. I'm gonna I'm gonna use xylol, but we might have a little solvent entrapment.
So as far as thinners go, I definitely want xylol.
On this product, I would recommend high flash naphtha. So it's more of an industrial, solvent that's out there. On normal xylene, that speeds it up. But what happens is we're already starting with a quick dry product and then using a fast evaporating solvent. But I need the cutting power that this is. Mineral spirits, it's floating on the top of this.
Right.
It's not cutting because it's an industrial product,
Okay.
You end up probably DTM alkyd. It's a slower drying product, but it's gonna flow a little bit better. Oftentimes they use a product called quick dry enamel. That's literally what we call it.
Although I will say a lot of quick dries,
But it's
you just can't get them to stop with the solvent entrapment.
Right.
With solvent entrapment, all you have to do is turn up your pressure and it goes away. The bubble popping I'm talking, because then you're flashing off the solvent at higher pressures.
yeah.
But we're doing it at such low pressure that it doesn't flash off. And so we're putting these quick dry products and then you get a film on there and the solvent's trying to poke through and then it gives you a rough finish.
What is your ratio when you're mixing it?
So that's what we were talking about, depending on the coating. I'm gonna say 15 to 20%. I'm gonna go by look. This comes with a viscosity cup, and I definitely would recommend using that until you know what you'll find coatings you can do in your sleep, if you've done it for a while.
Yeah.
But especially if you're going to have guys working for you, because your idea of thin is different than his idea of thin is different than the next guy. So you can be very exact. At room temperature, you keep little notes. We're going to use Sure-Ken. We thin with this product to so many seconds. So that viscosity cup, you totally submerge it, you pick up, and you're timing it to the first break in the stream. And now you will get the exact same thing over and over and over. You might thin a whole 5-gallon bucket down, and then, the guys will just spread like that. So
Okay.
it's different guys like reducing it different,
Yeah.
ways, but
So if you do a 5-gallon bucket, obviously it would settle.
yeah.
So when you use it, you have to spin it.
yeah.
But once you spin it, it should be equivalent.
And again, this is different than if we were doing it. If I was doing high beams and stuff like that, I want a heavier millage on there, and I'm going to increase my pressures and use a flat tip assembly. But,
And then probably use that 17 instead of the 11.
well, no, I would probably use a flat tip assembly. Now,
Oh,
the
those are
15
different.
will give you speed, yes. I'll show you the difference. I'm going to start with this. This is probably pretty good. So you can see. I'm not going to time it until I make sure it's
Okay.
good. But this is the flat. This is a flat tip. So that goes in like that, and then this goes in like that. Lines up, and go in like that, and then the flat tip. You see the bump out, it lines up with that little element thing, and that's running flat. We're running round, so I have the 15 in there now, but I'll go down to the 11. I wish they included instead of R15 and 11, I wish they included the 12. And then if somebody wants to go smaller, they go to 11. But
And where do you get this stuff at?
Sherwin-Williams. Sherwin-Williams. They don't stock them in their cabinet. Nobody's stocking them.
Been into North Avenue.
Oh yeah, actually North Avenue probably does have some in stock. But we ship fast on this type of stuff. We just want to plan a little bit ahead because this is not something that's sold at every. So on the face, they'll say 1.5 on there, but you have to be a teenager to actually see
Right.
take off your glasses to see it. This will say 1.1.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and
And
fill
that
the
wrench is
line.
good for flat or round?
You don't need the wrench for flat. Now the thing is, you plug a tip on a flat, it's plugging a flat tip. Where this, I can just reverse it and blow off the clog. Where in the flat, you got it. You can put it back in there and push through. It will seal, but it's mainly taking a razor blade, cutting the
Oh.
clog out. It's a pain in the ass.
Okay.
But what we're using, we're not using shit paint, you know what I
Right.
mean? So
Yeah.
it,
New
clogging,
paint, thin.
clogging is a rarity, you
Okay.
know? At least on flat tips. So all right, I'm gonna turn up my air so I don't make a mess. That was off. All right. Let's go ahead. This also doesn't have a prime valve or a bypass on there.
Okay.
It like you would, like say on the 440. We're doing thinner body product, so it doesn't necessarily need a prime valve. The prime is coming through, you know, when we're pulling the trigger. Then it relieves. Let's go ahead and loosen that up. That's the compressor you're hearing, that's the pump you're hearing. Take that wood off, 'cause it'll make a mess. I don't want to dirty my solvent. Is there another waste bucket?
This bucket?
Yeah. And you'll kind of see, once it goes to a stream like that,
And it's solid. Very
it
good.
should be steady, you know, like. Now we're solid, right there.
Okay. Then you normally maybe just drain that into.
Yeah, you can put that right back in there.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep it looking as possible. Now, they also have these.
Do I get the used price on this time?
No, you get the higher price, the training price.
Yeah. Yeah, price with a show.
The free demo.
Yeah.
There you go.
So this is they call it a gun cover. It's Tyvek. And you say, why do you need a gun cover? Because this is a grounded gun as well. And let's try keeping them looking nice, but the charge, especially if you're in tight areas, comes back on the gun and loads that up. So the other thing guys say, well, do I need to be grounded? You know, as long as that's grounded, we're plugged into a grounded outlet, and you're not wearing gloves, you're on the metal, you're grounded. So you wouldn't get annoying little shocks like I was talking off the wool carpeting. If you find that, you know, then you're isolated, and that's when you're, you know, wondering why you're always getting shocks on the thing. But that is not existent. So let's go ahead.
And how many of those tie-back things did I get?
One. We throw them around like like they're gold. Come on. Too much.
You go to different colors and shirt cap or what?
Yeah. That's what this is. Probably do something else. This is essentially
So if I go into schools or whatever, I can.
you can customize, kind of make bright colors. Obviously, the lights up close.
Yeah.
Those colors. You know, if you use, you'd be pushing some of the colors.
Okay. I'm actually saying that, like say, like you Berlin School District.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody from there, and maybe not just do that high school, but also do all the middle schools and all the elementary
Yeah.
schools and the lockers.
And then it's another 3 to 5 year contract.
Is it?
Oh, fuck.
Good.
Schools. Yeah, or you go to to get into a school district. Work your way through every building they have. You can, if you're going to store fixtures, things are going to be shot. You know, and the shot. Pull it outside, put it, go, stay clear if you have to.
But then I thought, what I probably.
Have you helped
if I'm
with
going
anything?
to a shop,
No.
I'd be better off.
Can you tell me, well, if you just give me your eyes, well, how many PSI am I on there
Well,
on this side?
yeah, I mean, you could do both. The mercury
Probably
stuff
like
is,
34, 35 range.
In-house compressors, 14. Those are just
Get your calculator out.
You're talking for the right dial, right?
Yeah.
Right, but,
Alright,
so
well, we
mobility of it.
mapping.
The locker off.
So 14 times 14, whatever that is.
Pop it.
Sorry, say that one more time.
So I want to multiply that number by 14.
It's 476.
Okay, I need to go higher. So I do this without splashing myself. So now what I'm doing is I just bend it a little more because
Alright, about 50.
15,
About 700.
700. I want to be at around 800 fluid power to 1,000.
Yeah, we're right around 60, so. Yeah, like 830.
Let's see what we got here, and then so I'm flushing it through is what I'm doing. I'm trying to get to the thinner solvent. The problem is I have mineral spirits sitting on the top of this. That's what we're looking for. Okay.
So if you, like, say if you had a gallon or say 2 gallons in a 5-gallon bucket, how often would you want to stir it?
It doesn't really settle. This product doesn't settle very fast.
Yeah.
Once in the lunchtime, right? If you did it in the morning, you probably wouldn't have to stir it till lunchtime, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Trying to think if
it's
there's any-
pretty.
Put a little like a wet rag over it for as far as skinning.
Yeah.
I don't
Even
even
with that,
think
even
it
with
won't
like that
skin.
stuff won't skin.
No.
Most of the solvent stuff you use is pretty rare. Well.
Yeah, it's not that much. So these wrenches. I mean, I have guys that'll put them on a little chain. There's the guys, they put it in their pocket and then they take it home and then they don't have something in it. So again, what we want to check is that's what we want to check. We're not getting a donut or a uniform pattern like that. It's silly to start, spraying because you're only adding static electricity and that won't help. So now we can turn it on. So there's a switch on the bottom here, and then there's our power light for the top that we turned on. So now we got a yellow and a green, and when I'm pulling the trigger, I got to turn it on here. That button pushes that on. It's omit and charge. But remember I told you how it has a ground fault indicator or limiter on there? So as I'm putting charge out, I come next to it and it kills the charge. So now you don't feel any charge, right? But I'm grounded, so it's grounded. And then it comes out. So that's essentially where we want. Instead of me pointing, if I'm doing stuff like this, I would probably go more alongside than right at it, more like this. And I want to put out a fine mist and just put it out. If I'm doing, this is my refrigeration thing, I usually start off the surface and give a light tack like this. This is what I'm talking about, this is tactile. I'm going to let that tack up. And that would be maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes at that, but it's not like you're waiting for it. You're doing more of it, going down the line. And then we're putting our vest on. So again, that's dirt that's on there.
Okay.
It's better, but maybe what we do is like get one of those rags, I'll wipe it and then you'll see the difference. It goes through.
Did it get the back of it? A little bit.
So if we were doing, like, say a pipe, then it'll kind of like those stairs.
He just said,
He's got a new store, so I don't want to.
We're kind of interested in like these hand railings that are outside of buildings.
yeah.
I mean, how many times do you see on these hand railings where the bottom 3 inches are just rusted off?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
now, if you're doing that type, like I've gone into where it's high rises, so they got handrails on 70 floors that they're doing, You make yourself a template where, where you could slip on, where it's bolted into the wall, slide something behind it. Usually you're hitting below and on top, and that way you pretty much get the whole thing that's on there. Outside is hard because outside we're fighting the wind. So though the charge is grabbing it, the wind is also pulling it, away. So if I'm doing outside, I would recommend some type of a wind block, a wind screen, plastic with, make something up type of thing.
okay.
But let's see if we get it better. But this will give you a factory finish on the job site. You know what I mean? That you're not. But you see, we're using a industrial coating. We're not glassing it. We're thinning it down for spray mode. And
Is this
that's what we want to do.
if you don't do the tack cloth first, is it easy to run?
The tack coat. You know what? It's not running, but this stuff is not drying as fast as I've done other shirt caps. We're not getting any solvent.
Is this
trap
stuff
in it.
here, is that
No.
spitting? Is that what
No.
that is?
Probably still dirt.
That's just oil or whatever's in
Oh,
there.
okay.
It's an imperfection. Let's see if it does it again. That'll tell us exactly. Yeah, see, that's where it was occurring, was on that. Yeah. So that's where wiping it down with hot solvent or sanding to get it. And then I would tack coat that. That's almost always on lockers. If you put just a wet lockers, file cam, if you put a wet coat, that happens every part by the handles.
Yeah.
And that's why you need to let it get, so now the wet coat isn't interacting with the existing coating, it's going on to the new coating, so. But this, I would have thought, well, yeah, that's tacky here,
It's tack.
but not over here where it's wet. Let's see. You see what I'm talking about with overspray, and that you get this kind of
Yeah.
finish,
No bounce back.
you know, like an aerosol atomization. There would just be a cloud with that.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna measure this, and so we can say, this is how much we thinned it here, and then you can check the pressures where we're at, you know?
Yeah.
And now you have a baseline, then you can go from there, you know? I'm gonna wait a little bit and I'll do the rest of the panel.
You flip that.
This is grounded because that's touching that and that's grounding it, but a lot of times you'll find, if I'm just holding that too, I'm grounding it as I'm going to. It's not like we're running high voltage. It actually is milliamps. I guess it's high voltage. Milliamps is what we're using, so. Let's try this. You'll see, did you see how it's harder to get into the inside corners? On tight corners, there's what's known as Faraday effect on there. That's where you could turn off your charge, hit your inside corners, and then go on from there. I just pull the gun closer and you get, you know, that's on a 90. It might be, if it was tighter than a 90, you might have to do that, but that's the advantage of having it on the gun. Believe it or not, there's a lot of paint on there. If I took my finger and wiped on there.
Okay, what would cause, like, say, the running there?
Well, that's one. That's just too much paint.
That's just too much paint?
It's,
But
it's probably not tacked up. Yeah, it's still a little wet.
Okay, so
It
is
should
there a
be
combination, I mean, it's like the thinning, is there a point of, obviously, there's a point
You
of
can
truth there.
play around, yeah, and say, hey, maybe I go a little bit less, you know,
So,
thin.
so maybe if thinning would cause, like, say, this type of running,
Yeah.
and then if that runs.
I would probably stay away from the mineral spirits
Entirely.
until you have an issue with solvent entrapment. I'm just in the past, whenever I've done this, solvent entrapment's always been an issue, and so that's why I tried cutting it with the mineral spirit. And mineral spirits, maybe that's why it's taking forever for this to tack up. Is
Okay.
because I have mineral spirits in there.
Okay, but strongly recommend the tack up first.
Tack up first, and then, you know, maybe I'm putting it on for full coverage. Maybe I would just do this.
And go
You know,
two
keep
coats of that.
going, yeah, and go 2 coats like that. That would go on. So I'm building it up slowly. I was trying to get it into the corners of these,
Yeah.
so that's where maybe some of that goes, but
Okay.
you'll know a lot more than I will when because you'll
Right.
be doing it. I do these little demos,
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm a painter.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, sometimes it's just like 2 coats of iron. Oh, you know, if you're spraying 2 coats of lacquer, 2 coats of paint.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to do 1 coat, that's good. You know, you usually end up with
But
runs.
you look
put
at
it on
the
too thick, too
look
fat.
at the particle size. It's small. You're getting
Yeah.
you're getting a fine atomization.
Okay.
So let's measure it and let's see where we're at. So at least we have a baseline on where we're at. You might want to take a picture of the pressures where we're at.
Yeah. So you can definitely see, like here compared to here, and then here. Where here you don't have as near as much spatter, and it'll definitely run.
Yeah.
You know, where the light coat, you know, the light coat, and then a light second coat, and then maybe a quick once over with the third coat.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, realistically, I mean, you might have a little spot here, maybe on the angles, and maybe on the bottom. But other than that, that looks perfect
Yeah.
as compared to that.
Yeah.
Or and here where the run, you know, it's running like around the circles, especially.
Again, probably
Cleaning is-
probably rushing it a little bit.
Yes,
Letting it tap, but it's not full tap.
not fully tacked, yeah. And and it's probably not, you know, the cleaning is definitely
For sure. I mean,
cleaning is definitely an issue. I can see that,
yeah.
which would make sense.
I gotta do that again. My watch secondhand turned off.
Well, that's with the lockers. That's it.
I have too high tech of a
Cleaning
watch.
is probably,
Wait for shit.
cleaning probably 70%.
Yeah.
Do it on the 11.
Yeah, but you gotta solve this with flash out quickly. You know, you can get right back to work. It's the biggest one. They need troubleshoot those very quickly.
And you probably could go a little heavier.
Is that the viscosity cup you're talking about?
Yeah. I think I was at 18, 17 seconds. My second hand. Anybody have a second hand on, or a stopwatch on their phone?
I have a second hand on my watch.
Let's do that. Because mine's turning off. Tell me when to go.
Go.
And I'll tell you when to stop.
And the viscosity cup should be at what number?
It's just all it does is mark a number. Stop.
18.
So 18 seconds. Now, normally when I've sprayed, it's more 25 seconds. So this might be a little too thin too. That would
Okay.
get us there. That we maybe could thicken it up some.
Okay, so
Um,
middle 20s is the goal?
Yeah, I'd say on this coating. Yeah.
On this-
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
All right. So then we just clean it like any other airless sprayer. Go this way. Well, first off, the training 101 is we no longer need our electrostatic, so we turn off the power on
Can we try? Can I try a second point on the third
there.
one?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That way we got a little bit of the painting for
Well, this was
Parker
this
here.
was,
Yeah,
this was a lesson. This was a lesson of prep as well. That's why I brought these pieces.
This is why prep matters.
I brought the dirtiest, nastiest shit the basement store could find.
So every time you turn the power pack, when you turn it off, turn it back on, you have to touch this button to make the power. And then on your gun, you have to hit it here so that we pull it. And you'll see
Well, we got sure
Okay.
that lights up when it's in mid.
Okay, so you turn it.
pretty solid here.
Okay, so
See the switch on the
Oh,
bottom?
is it?
Okay.
That's one.
all right, so you turn that on first,
We on?
and then
Yep, and then the gun.
then the gun. Okay.
Well, that, this, that.
Okay. All right.
I still
You want to
have
try it?
call me.
Sure.
Here.
Here's the-
You gonna start it? That's probably right.
So you get air first, you pull back further, and now you get material.
Okay.
It does get a little, it's hard to tell how much you have on because it's coming out so softly. You're not getting that blast. You
Right.
don't realize how much where I would take things and then I wipe it and they see how much paint is actually on there, you know. Or if they have a wet mill gauge, then you can see exactly how much is on there.
I would have to double check.
Well, this is the react. Those are nice looking. Yeah, you can look at Corner Express, yeah, whatever you call it.
So like stuff like this, does that mean that does it? It doesn't seem like it spits at all.
You'll get a little, it'll gather in there, so that's why I
Okay.
usually say start off a piece and work up. But off a bigger piece, because it's not really prepped, you won't notice the spit. The spits are so small that. It's probably better maybe we flip this around. Get that bottom this first.
Is that there? That's these dots there. What causes that?
That's contaminants. I'm pretty certain that's contaminants that's on there.
Okay.
So that's where, that's when I was saying, if you are sanding, that's why I like the liquid sand. Because when you sand, it's hard getting all that dust out of there.
No, it's sorry, it's a fine finish.
Okay.
Should do it with solvent, with xylene,
Yeah, right.
and just do a good wipe.
So this is gonna end up being nasty right there, right?
I'm sure.
I mean,
Yeah, and that's what you see what I'm saying? But that's why you also have to pull straight back.
What's that?
It's not like in
No, I can feel it.
HVLP or near that,
It's that touch and
it's an
drag.
on-off, so you can't.
Get rid of the guys go home for your years younger.
okay, so if I pull back quick, I won't get that.
Exactly.
Good job. Good job.
How did I get that?
You should usually start off the surface and go end off the surface.
Ah, okay.
Aha.
What was that?
So the start would be here.
Yeah,
Alright.
yeah.
Kind of transparent. Let it hang for a little bit.
Resist putting more on. Wait.
Resist.
Wait.
Resist.
Yeah.
Just wait and then put more on.
As a
Let
painter,
it-
you're like, paint it, cover it.
Yeah.
Almost
Okay.
like baby ships, like a lot of times we're basically.
So this is piston lube like any other piston pump.
Okay, where's that
You
going?
put a squirt. I put a squirt already in here. On the piston itself, you stick it in there, put a squirt.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But this unit, you're not tipping, so how much you're really going through it.
True.
On other units, you tip the oil out. Yeah.
Pull those in the right lane, right there.
Exactly.
If a tech data page is calling for,
Yeah. I meant on the United States.
Oh,
That was the bullshit stuff.
oh no, they're just,
President. Oh, you should have brought it up.
Did keep my
What'd you learn today, Dave?
I know, and I
We used to have a crossover like this was
well,
on
I can tell you, so this is how they finish our show.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I read, but that's the one for